I would like to know, my son is a victim of the hazing incident here at Mohawk, and I would like to know what the board is doing about protection of these kids. The kids that are still playing that were a part of this, I want to know what's being done about that. And I also want to know too about my Title IX that was violated by a staff member.
Thank you for your comments. The board will be hearing later on from the district attorney who's been invited to speak at tonight's meeting. The district issued a press statement on Friday, September 2nd, detailing its investigation and its findings. We are still bound by student confidentiality issues. Certainly, if you'd like to schedule an appointment to meet privately with the superintendent and assistant superintendent, they'll be happy to address your issues specifically.
Charles Hart. I was told that this would be the place that we would receive answers from the Boosters Club, so is that not the case? We're not going to receive answers as to what the result of the investigation was, other than the fact that the coach received a two-day suspension, is that correct? 2-game suspension?
So the board, and first, I'm not sure exactly why anyone would have indicated to the booster groups that this would have been the place to receive answers about that. But the board can't comment specifically on personnel matters. Certainly, to the extent that there's anything that you don't believe is addressed here tonight, I'd encourage you to call the superintendent's office tomorrow morning.
And we can do that, thank you. All right, who is responsible for the policy with regard to the breaks taken by the children at the football camp? There was an hour break. Who's responsible for that policy? Is that school policy?
So let me just say the opportunity is to provide public comment, meaning you have the ability to speak on any matter that concerns you during the time period allotted by the board, but it's not really a question and answer period, so to speak. So the board can get back to you. If you have a series of questions that you want to have answered, I would encourage you to ask those questions, and we'll make notes, and then the administration will get back to you.
Okay, and we'll just go with comments then. We all agree that public safety, our student safety, is number one here. That was violated, that is a fact. Many student safety was put at risk, okay? Who is responsible for that? I don't expect an answer, it's rhetorical. In my opinion, those put in charge of the football team are liable and negligent in these acts. They were there to supervise our children, they failed to do that. Are we to trust these people anymore with the safety of our children? Being a person of the military, I do appreciate leadership. I do not feel that what happened was leadership, ladies and gentlemen. A ship's captain, the old adage, the ship's captain goes down with the ship. That did not occur. All who embark upon a captain's ship are under his protection, and he dies before he leaves that ship, ensuring the safety of everyone on that ship. The coaches, the administration has failed our children. Thank you.
Sandy Hart. I like how you mentioned confidentiality. If you know what happened and you aren't telling law officials, you are in the wrong. If you know what happened and you aren't supposed to know what happened, for the safety and confidentiality of the minors involved and the victims, and you didn't report the confidentiality leak, you are in the wrong. Furthermore, if you downplay the traumatic events that happened, you're in the wrong. If you truly don't know what happened and you're not asking the questions concerning the welfare and safety of the children, physically and emotionally, of all the kids, you're in the wrong, and that proves that you're putting a game before the children's lives. And the option that I fear most here, if you know what happened, you truly aren't supposed to know what happened. You just don't care, and you don't want to ask the hard questions because it might interfere with activity time. and you're willing to downplay the traumatic events that happen at the school because of a game that is pure evil, and you're in the wrong. And I wonder where these boys learned how to be so cold-hearted. The parents and teachers and coaches are supposed to be advocates for kids. And remember, the kids here and all around in the community are watching us right now. And it's sickening. It really is. We are the ones that they are supposed to trust and come to. And before I make this next comment, I will have this board know that the person who stated this comment, the comment itself and the victim's name will be reported to our attorney. Because when you downplay traumatic events and just say, oh, it was just a flick and a tap, who are these kids going to come to? Well, who will they turn to? Will it be drugs, alcohol, abusive relationships, hurting people, or possibly hurting other teammates? I'm sorry, but the coaches and Mohawk has let these kids down. And that's not rumor-based, that is fact.
In order to, and obviously we know the public wants as much information as possible. There's been a lot of misinformation that's circulated via rumors over the past couple of weeks. The district's administration moved extremely aggressively to report this to law enforcement, to involve the district attorney's office so that they could conduct a full and fair investigation. And at that time, upon learning of these allegations, the district's administration paused all football activities while this investigation was proceeding so that attention could be paid to the investigation first and foremost. We've invited, and he's offered graciously, District Attorney Joshua Lamancusa to address the board and the public tonight to provide information. Obviously, that information will still have to be to some degree limited by any pending legal matters, but I just want to note, because I think it's important to do so, that this district has, in my legal opinion, acted appropriately to properly address these allegations, to make sure that every possible allegation could be thoroughly investigated in a timely fashion to try to protect the rights of all students and their parents. And then with regard to any allegation that this is anything more than just a one-off, I do want to note that the district attorney's letter released September 2nd, and this is available to the public, specifically states, at the conclusion of the investigation, there existed no evidence of a malignant culture or knowledge and or complicit behavior by any district employee suggesting a normalized acceptance of the allegations of hazing and abuse. Hazing is forbidden by the district. It is not tolerated by the district. We can't provide all the details to you, but the district has, in this case, acted very deliberately and without any hesitation whatsoever to condemn activity that is absolutely prohibited by board policy. And with that, I'll ask District Attorney Lamancusa if he could address the board, and specifically if you could speak, Attorney Lamancusa, to the allegations that were there, whether or not the district was cooperative with your investigation, and what your findings are.
School board, this is a bit of an atypical scenario for me, and it's strange facing the school board, but I really would like to address the public. So I'd like to turn this around. Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joshua Lamancusa, and I'm the district attorney in Lawrence County. My office was notified, according to the protocol that each school district has, that says that if there is any instance of alleged sexual misconduct, that they are to reach out immediately to the sex crimes prosecutor that is attached to the district attorney's office. And once that call has been made, then that prosecutor details detectives to begin the investigation. The reason why that is done is because in our office, we have a full-time sexual assault prosecutor who's been doing this for 12 years. I was responsible for the prosecution of all child sex abuse and death cases on the East Coast of the United States into Europe and Southwest Asia with the United States Navy JAG Corps. And I am familiar, as well as my prosecutor, with how delicate and sensitive these types of cases are, especially when it comes to interviewing people who have been alleged to have been assaulted. The investigator that I assigned in this case was a 30-year law enforcement veteran. He is not from our community. And that was another decision that was made because I've done these investigations before. I've been in these scenarios before, and I know that people sometimes get it into their head that there is some sort of cover-up or scandal. And so we felt that it was important to assign someone that didn't know anyone in our community. This investigator was also the chief over in Mercer County. As I said, he had 30+ years, and he had the support of the head of our criminal investigation division, which is another detective who has 18 years doing these types of cases. Once those investigators were assigned to the case, we responded to the school in less than an hour after receiving the telephone call, and we began the investigation. Now, from our perspective, it was very important that the school was cooperative with our investigation. We've encountered situations where school districts have not been forthcoming, have not been cooperative. That was not the case in this instance. We found a school board that was willing to answer all of our questions and give us access to the records and documents and to the students that we wanted to talk to. I did release a fairly comprehensive statement about the investigation itself. I'm sorry I can't get into the specifics of the findings. I anticipate criminal charges to be filed this week. We will be filing juvenile petitions against the offenders. Obviously, we thought it merited the filing of charges, that it was serious enough to file the charges, and we'll be proceeding in the Court of Common Pleas on these juvenile petitions. I have access to Facebook. I have friends. I have heard all of the different rumors. I have read all of the allegations. And one of the things that I stated in the letter, and I wanted to make it very clear to the public that they understood that we were not going to limit our investigation to just the allegations. We wanted to look at the school district itself to see, did we have a situation where there was some sort of ritualistic hazing that was going on every year? Whether it was the football team, the cross-country team, the tennis team. We wanted to see what was the extent of the hazing, if any. We found that there did not exist a culture of hazing here. Now, when I say that to you, what I'm referring to is not to one or two incidents that occurred 10, 11 years ago. I'm talking about, was there a culture where rites of passage were being forced upon young men and women within the school district? We found no evidence of that. Now, I'm not saying, and I can't definitively say with 100% it does not exist, but I can tell you that we interviewed 25 witnesses and found no evidence of it. As the district attorney, I'm bound to file charges that are supported by evidence, and there was no evidence. It became very clear from the video footage that we watched. There were no coaches involved, no teachers involved. It was unsupervised kids, and they were the ones that committed the crimes that ultimately are going to lead to their prosecution. I would like to say that there were no broomsticks, there was no masturbation, there was no bodily fluids. I heard all the rumors. And in my position, I've learned a long time ago that you need to just be upfront and honest with people. Look them in the eye and tell them, look, here's what we found, and here's what we can prove, and here's what we're gonna do. But the rumors that were reported, and I know there's a lot of news cameras here, and I've spent plenty of time in front of them, but a lot of rumors were reported, and they weren't based in fact. And the facts do not yield to the conclusion this was anything more than hazing. Now, when I say anything more than hazing, I want you to understand that obviously I think that's significant enough that we didn't file summary citations where it's going to go to a magistrate. We filed charges, or we're going to file charges, that will be held in the court of common pleas to address this. For those families who have victims, we will be speaking with your office, or you will be speaking with our office. Our victim witness coordinator will be sitting with you. We're going to talk about services that are available. Obviously, we're going to be talking to the school district as well. I hope each of you have an opportunity to review the letter that I submitted, and you can see it in the bottom of that letter that I encourage the school district also to look at the people who were also in that room and to look at their conduct or their lack of action. And if they determine that it's a violation of the school code or school policy, then those bystanders should be held accountable under the school, just like the perpetrators. I can't speak to the disciplinary procedures of the school, the suspensions, the athletics. That's not what I'm here for. I was called to discuss the criminal investigation. My office was brought into this for the purposes of conducting a criminal investigation. Now, I know that each of you are bound by 3 minutes, and I know that this is not a question and answer session, but what I can say to you is afterwards, in the parking lot, if you have specific questions that aren't appropriate for this venue or this forum, I will wait out there and speak to each one of you and address any one of your concerns so long as I can. Again, I cannot get into the specifics. I do want to conclude by thanking the school district. I know that there's a lot of negative sentiment right now towards the school district for whatever decisions they have made or haven't made. But from a law enforcement standpoint, they could not have been more cooperative, more open, and more willing to accept both the good and the bad from the district attorney's office. So I do want to say thank you for that, and I appreciate your assistance in getting to the bottom of this matter.